There will come a moment when someone looks you dead in the eye and tries to shrink you. They'll dismiss what you've built, mock what you value, and disguise their envy as advice. Their tone will sound casual, maybe even polite, but the poison is precise. It's designed to make you second-guess yourself, to make you kneel before their insecurity. That's how psychological domination works, through subtle cuts that make you bleed without realizing it. The weak will react with anger. The fragile will absorb the insult and retreat. But the Stoic warrior, he stands still. He sees the attack for what it is, a desperate cry for control from someone losing grip on their own self-worth. You're not here to match their energy. You're here to master yours. Belittlement isn't a test of wit. It's a test of composure. The Stoics taught that no one can humiliate you without your consent. Their words might strike, but only you decide whether they enter your mind or dissolve on impact. Most people don't realize this. They hand over their peace the moment someone throws shade. Every time you react, you confirm their power. Every time you explain yourself, you validate their judgment. That's how they win. But you're done playing that game. From this point forward, every belittling comment becomes a battlefield for mastery, not over them, but over yourself. Your job isn't to argue, defend, or convince. Your job is to remain untouchable. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. That's not a poetic line. It's a mental weapon. When someone tries to reduce your worth, remember this truth. They can insult the surface, but they can't touch the foundation. Every belittling comment carries a hidden confession. It reveals more about the speaker's wounds than your worth. When someone mocks your effort, they're admitting they've given up on their own. When they downplay your success, they're confessing that your growth threatens their stagnation. The Stoic doesn't react to these jabs because he understands what's really happening. It's projection disguised as superiority. You're not the problem. You're the mirror reflecting what they can't face in themselves. That's why composure is your greatest revenge. You don't need to clap back. You just need to stay calm long enough for their mask to slip. In that silence, they're forced to confront what they've revealed: envy, insecurity, or fear. And while they wrestle with their shadows, you stand in mastery, untouched, grounded, and sovereign. When you encounter belittlement, you stand at a crossroads. One path leads to reaction, the trap of ego defense, where you argue, justify, and drain your energy proving your worth. The other leads to discipline, the choice to observe, analyze, and rise above. Stoicism isn't about silence out of weakness. It's silence out of strategy. It's the strength to let their words hang in the air until they collapse under their own weight. Every emotional reaction feeds their hunger for dominance. Every composed pause starves it. The mind trained in discipline doesn't rush to defend. It assesses. Ask yourself, what are they revealing about themselves right now? What's their motive beneath the mask? When you think like a philosopher and respond like a warrior, you transform the moment of insult into a moment of insight. Response 1. Expose the motive, not yourself. When someone tries to belittle your work, don't defend your talent, reveal their intent. Say calmly, I notice you needed to downplay that. What made you want to do that? This single question flips the power dynamic instantly. Most people who throw verbal jabs expect a defensive reaction, not a mirror held up to their behavior. The moment you question why they spoke that way, you take control of the frame, you become the observer. They become the examined. Epictetus taught, when another blames you, remember that he acts according to what seems right to him. The Stoic doesn't accept the insult as truth. He studies it like evidence in a case study of human weakness. Ask the question once, then go silent. Let them sit in the discomfort of explaining their own cruelty. That silence is your victory. Understand this, the goal isn't to humiliate them back. That would make you equal in pettiness. The goal is awareness. When you calmly question their motive, you force consciousness where there was only impulse. People who belittle act without thinking. They swing emotional weapons blindly, but your stillness makes them see the mirror. Often, they'll backtrack, laugh awkwardly, or say, I was just joking. Don't take the bait. You're not there to soothe their guilt. You're there to demonstrate mastery, the kind that doesn't flinch when provoked. Marcus Aurelius wrote that, the best revenge is not to become like your enemy. When you choose composure over reaction, curiosity over conflict, you've already won the psychological battle. You've proven that your peace is under your command, not theirs. And that's a power most people never develop. Response 2. Acknowledge without accepting. When someone drops a condescending remark, your instinct might be to explain or correct them. Don't. Instead, acknowledge the words, not the meaning. Say, "That's an interesting thing to say. What made you share that?" This disarms the attack instantly. You've recognized their comment without giving it authority. You're signaling that their opinion exists, but it doesn't shape you. The Stoic mind sees language as data, neutral until you assign it weight. When you respond with calm interest, you force the speaker to justify their intent. Most won't have one. They'll stumble. Because belittlement isn't reasoned, it's reactionary. And by calmly asking them to explain, you turn their casual cruelty into a moment of exposure. You haven't defended your worth. You've made them accountable for their words. That's what mastery sounds like. This second response works because it's surgical. You neither fight nor flee. You redirect. The one who belittles expects you to argue. Instead, you invite them to think. You create a pause where they must examine the motive behind their own disrespect. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The insult only hurts when you give it meaning. But when you treat their words as curiosities rather than judgments, you take away their sting. You become the scientist of human behavior, detached, analytical, calm. Notice the shift. You're no longer the target of their comment. You're the observer of their insecurity. This is psychological judo, using their force against them. When they realize you won't react emotionally, the power they thought they had over you evaporates completely. You've taken the high ground without ever raising your voice. Response 3. Anchor your worth internally. There will be moments when someone mocks your dream, questions your timing, or ridicules your progress. Instead of explaining yourself, say with calm conviction, "I'm proud of this. And that's what matters to me." Simple, final, unshakable. You've declared that your satisfaction comes from your values, not their validation. This isn't arrogance, it's sovereignty. When you define success by your own standards, no one can belittle you without your permission. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom begins when you stop asking others to confirm your direction. Their opinion can only wound you if you place your worth in their hands. Withdraw it. Keep it guarded. Let your peace come from the alignment between your effort and your purpose, not their applause or mockery. This response cuts deeper than it seems because it ends the debate before it begins. When you say, "I'm satisfied with this," you're not defending, you're declaring. You're announcing to yourself and the world that external validation is irrelevant to your inner compass. The belittler expects resistance, but you give them none. You don't argue, justify, or explain. You simply affirm your sovereignty and move on. Marcus Aurelius practiced this mental stance daily. Surrounded by critics, senators, and cynics, he trained himself to find peace in his own judgment rather than the applause of the crowd. The Stoic warrior understands that self-respect is built internally through action, not approval. Every time you affirm your satisfaction calmly, you reinforce the truth that your worth is self-defined. They can speak, but they cannot touch what is rooted within you. Response 4. Reflect their words back to their source. When someone attacks your choices, says something cutting, or tries to make you feel small, respond with clarity, not emotion. Your need to comment on that says more about you than about me. This sentence is a mirror, not a weapon. It stops their projection mid-air and sends it back where it belongs, to them. Most people belittle because they crave superiority. But when you calmly reveal what their words expose, you remove their camouflage. The attack becomes self-incrimination. They can no longer hide behind just joking or being honest. You've stripped away the disguise and revealed insecurity masquerading as judgment. Seneca wrote, "The one who injures others is more wretched than he who suffers injury." When you see their cruelty as evidence of their inner weakness, not your failure, their words lose all sting. You walk away clean. This response works because it turns judgment into self-exposure. When you calmly say, "That says more about you than me," you force the speaker to face their own reflection, and that's something most people can't handle. You've shifted from defense to diagnosis. Their insult becomes a case study in insecurity. You're not offended, you're observant. You've made their behavior transparent without raising your voice. That's psychological dominance, not through aggression, but through awareness. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When someone tries to stain you with their bitterness, let it roll off. They've just revealed their color, not yours. You're untouchable because your dignity isn't reactive, it's grounded. And when your peace is grounded, their smallness echoes only in their own emptiness. Every time you refuse to internalize their poison, you strengthen your armor. Stoicism isn't emotional detachment, it's emotional discipline. You still feel the sting, but you don't let it command you. When you remind yourself that their words reveal them, not you, the emotion dissolves. You've reclaimed control. Marcus Aurelius faced critics who called him weak for showing compassion, and philosophers who mocked his faith. Yet he never chased approval. He wrote, "If someone despises me, that's their concern. My concern is not to do or say anything deserving of contempt." That's the Stoic stance. To stay focused on your own virtue, not their validation. The moment you learn to let their judgment stay with them, you step out of their control. Their bitterness becomes their burden, not your identity. Response 5. Set the boundary and end the game. Some comments don't deserve curiosity or philosophy. They deserve closure. When someone offers an unsolicited critique wrapped in fake concern, you look them in the eye and say, "I didn't ask for your opinion, and I'm not interested in hearing it." No hesitation, no explanation, just a clean line drawn in steel. This isn't rudeness, it's self-respect. The Stoics believe that protecting your peace is a moral duty. You owe no one access to your focus, your progress, or your decisions. Every minute spent defending yourself to someone who's not rooting for you is stolen time from your mission. A firm boundary ends manipulation instantly. When you refuse to engage, they lose their leverage. You reclaim your energy, your silence, and your sovereignty, and that's a victory more powerful than any comeback. This boundary is your shield against emotional theft. People who belittle you often disguise their control as advice. They want you to explain, to justify, to open the door so they can keep judging. Don't give them that entry. Say your boundary once, calm, direct, final, and walk away. The Stoic doesn't argue with chaos. He withdraws from it. Seneca warned, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." That means you don't entertain voices that drain or diminish you. You protect your focus the way a warrior protects his sword. Every time you decline to engage, you reinforce your dominance over your own attention. You teach people how to treat you by showing what you won't tolerate. Silence is not surrender, it's strategy, and it ends the game completely. Response 6. Leave their words with them. When someone tries to reduce you, you don't carry their insult. You hand it back. Say calmly, "I'll let that comment reflect on you, and not on me." That one line severs the chain instantly. You're declaring that you won't absorb their judgment or let it stain your identity. Every insult is a delivery attempt. You choose whether to sign for it. Epictetus taught, "If someone hands you a bitter cup, you are not obliged to drink." This response embodies that truth. You're not debating whether they're wrong. You're making it clear their words belong entirely to them. It's their bitterness, their projection, their story, not yours. Let them keep it. You walk away light, unburdened, and whole. That's the ultimate freedom, to let others speak from their weakness without letting it echo inside your strength. This final response is liberation in its purest form. You're no longer a prisoner of other people's opinions. Their insults, doubts, or mockery can echo around you, but they can't pierce you, because you've stopped carrying what doesn't belong to you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Extend that further. If it is not yours, do not hold it. The modern mind is cluttered with noise, criticism, sarcasm, judgment. Most people internalize it until it becomes self-doubt. The Stoic warrior filters it all. He takes what builds him and leaves what poisons him. Every time you say, "That reflects on you, not me," you're reminding yourself that you own your perception. You decide what enters your mind and what dies at the door. That's mental sovereignty. Understand this. Your calm refusal to internalize others' negativity is not weakness. It's proof of evolution. The average person reacts to every insult as if it's truth. The disciplined mind dissects it like a surgeon. You don't get angry. You observe, you don't absorb, you analyze. The insult stops being personal and becomes psychological data. You begin to see patterns. People criticize what they fear, mock what they envy, and attack what reminds them of their own unfulfilled potential. When you recognize this, you stop wasting energy on defense and start mastering observation. Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus weren't teaching emotional suppression. They were teaching emotional command. The power to decide what deserves your reaction is the highest form of freedom. That's the moment you become untouchable. Not because no one attacks, but because nothing lands. When you stop reacting to belittlement, you become an entirely different presence. People feel it, that steady stillness that can't be provoked. It's not arrogance, it's control. You've mastered what Stoics called apatheia, not apathy. But disciplined emotion, you still feel, but you decide when and how to respond. Imagine your mind as a fortress. Insults hit the walls, but never breach the gates. Every time you stay calm, you're reinforcing those walls with another layer of iron discipline. Others will test you. They always do. Weak people need conflict to validate themselves. But when you respond with composure, you rob them of oxygen. Their chaos suffocates in your silence. That's real dominance. Quiet, centered, and unshakable. It's not about winning arguments. It's about never being drawn into one. Here's the truth. Most people never face. The world will always contain belittlers. You can't eliminate them, but you can outgrow their reach. The Stoic doesn't waste time trying to reform toxic minds. He reforms his own responses. You can't stop people from being petty, but you can stop giving them access to your peace. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Every moment of disrespect is an invitation, either to descend into chaos or to rise into mastery. The one who chooses composure wins every time. Because when you no longer need to prove yourself, you become terrifying to insecure people. They can't manipulate what they can't disturb. That's when you step out of their control completely, not by fighting them, but by refusing to play their game at all. The Stoic warrior doesn't waste energy proving his worth. He demonstrates it through presence. Belittlement only works when you chase validation. But once you realize your value is built in silence, through discipline, focus, and consistency, their words lose all gravity. You don't rise to defend, you rise to continue. Marcus Aurelius faced public ridicule, betrayal, and jealousy, yet his composure remained unbroken. He understood that opinions are just echoes, loud, fleeting, and powerless against inner stability. When someone belittles you, see it as a stress test for your self-control. Can you stay steady when someone throws verbal stones? Can you remain calm when your ego demands to fight back? Every time you do, you forge strength that no praise or insult can touch. Their noise fades, your discipline endures. Remember this law: your reaction determines your rank. Those who need to be understood are slaves to opinion. Those who can remain silent are masters of themselves. When you respond to disrespect with serenity, you're no longer on the same level as the attacker. You've elevated above the arena. That's where the Stoic lives. Above the noise, above the drama, above the desperate pull for validation. Seneca once wrote, "The best way to avenge an insult is to be unlike him who offered it." Let that burn into your mind. When someone tries to pull you into a petty argument, don't fight for respect, embody it. Show through stillness that your peace is too expensive to be disturbed by cheap words. The more disciplined your silence, the louder your presence becomes. The Stoic doesn't fight for control, he practices control. And that's what separates the disciplined from the ordinary. Ordinary people let words dictate their emotions. Disciplined minds dictate the meaning of words. You must train yourself daily to recognize this gap, the space between stimulus and response. Inside that space lies all your power. The next time someone belittles you, pause, let silence do the work. The weak fill silence with noise. The strong fill it with awareness. That moment of stillness is where mastery begins. You are not required to answer every critic, nor correct every fool. You are required only to maintain your command. Marcus Aurelius called this the art of not being drawn away. Guard that art with your life, because the moment you lose control of yourself, you've already lost the battle. Control isn't built in calm moments. It's forged under pressure. Every time someone disrespects you and you choose composure over chaos, you're adding another layer of steel to your mind. That's how Stoic warriors are made, through repetition under fire. The insult is the weight, your calm is the rep. The more you lift it, the stronger you get. Don't pray for an easy path free of disrespect. Pray for the strength to remain unmoved when it comes. Life will always send people who test your peace. They're not obstacles, they're your training partners. Each one sharpens your discipline. The wise man uses offense as exercise. The fool uses it as fuel for rage. Which one you become depends on your ability to pause, breathe, and remember, no one can make you feel small without your consent. Here's the mindset shift that ends all emotional manipulation. You are not here to prove, But to practice, every insult, every sneer, every dismissive tone is your chance to practice detachment in real time. Think of it as strength conditioning for the soul. The more you hold your calm, the more you expand your capacity for peace. Epictetus trained his students to see provocations as drills, moments to apply philosophy, not debate it. When someone mocks you, they've unknowingly volunteered to be your teacher. Their disrespect becomes the lesson. Your restraint becomes the mastery. The Stoic warrior doesn't wish to silence his critics. He uses their noise to refine his stillness. Remember this rule: every time you stay composed under attack, you're not losing the battle, you're completing the workout. But let's be clear, composure isn't passive. It's controlled strength. There's a difference between staying calm and being walked over. Stoicism is not submission, it's strategic restraint. When you hold your peace, it's because you've chosen the higher ground, not because you've surrendered it. The disciplined man knows when to walk away and when to draw a line. Calm does not mean soft. It means decisive without drama. When you look someone in the eye after they've tried to belittle you and say, "That's not acceptable," with a steady voice and steady heart, you become a force they can't manipulate. Marcus Aurelius called this standing straight. Not being kept straight, you no longer need validation, permission, or revenge. You stand from your own spine, unshakable, deliberate, and free. Belittlers thrive on emotional chaos. That's their playground. They seek reactions because reactions confirm power. But when you stay composed, you starve them. They can't feed on calm energy. Your stillness disarms them faster than any clever comeback ever could. It's psychological aikido. You use their force against them by refusing to resist emotionally. Over time, people learn that their words have no effect on you. They stop trying to provoke, not because they've changed, but because you've become immune. Stoicism doesn't remove conflict from your life. It removes your vulnerability to it. You'll notice something powerful. The quieter you become, the more others reveal themselves. Their insecurity starts to echo in the silence. That's when you realize you never needed to win the argument. You just needed to master yourself. Every Stoic response is built on one foundation. Emotional control equals freedom. Freedom from reaction, from insecurity, from manipulation. Once you stop reacting, you become unpredictable, and that terrifies people who rely on control. They can't trigger what doesn't flinch. They can't dominate what doesn't respond. That's why composure is the ultimate rebellion in a world addicted to outrage. When you remain calm, you expose the insanity of those who need noise to feel alive. You become the mirror that shows them their own lack of discipline. Marcus Aurelius didn't defeat his enemies with rage. He outlasted them with reason. He knew that the one who governs his inner world eventually governs the outer one. The goal isn't to silence others, it's to become so centered that no voice but your own dictates your peace. The modern warrior must understand, emotional self-control is not just philosophy, it's power. In business, in relationships, in every human exchange, the one who stays calm holds the upper hand. Anger blinds, composure sees. The person who controls the tempo of the conversation controls its outcome. That's why Stoic calm is not passive, it's tactical. When someone tries to belittle you, they expect a spark, argument, defense, irritation. But when you respond with clarity, or even silence, you flip the dynamic. They lose rhythm, you gain authority. The Stoics called this reason ruling over impulse. In today's world, it's your ultimate edge. Stay still while others burn energy reacting, while they crumble under their own emotions. You stay focused, clear, and moving forward. That's what separates the disciplined from the defeated. You've probably noticed that the most grounded people rarely explain themselves. That's not arrogance, it's discipline. They've learned that explanations invite argument, while clarity ends it. The moment you stop over-explaining your choices, you reclaim your time and your peace. Let your actions speak. Let your results defend you. When someone belittles your dream, your silence should say, "Watch me." Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That line is your blueprint. Stop arguing with doubters. Outwork them. Outlast them. Outgrow them. Your calm persistence will silence every critic more effectively than words ever could. The Stoic doesn't tell the world he's strong. He shows it through endurance. Let that be your response to every belittling voice. Persistence over protest. Progress over pride. Silence isn't weakness. It's a weapon sharpened by discipline. The world thinks noise equals power, but real power is presence. when you're silent in the face of belittlement. It unsettles people. They expect conflict and get calm. They expect ego and meet awareness. That's the Stoic paradox. Your restraint speaks louder than their provocation. The disciplined man doesn't explain his vision to those who mock it. He builds it until it's undeniable. You must train your mind to love that silence, the tension it creates, the strength it demands. Let people underestimate you. Let them laugh, doubt, dismiss. They're fueling your fire while thinking they've extinguished it. Marcus Aurelius didn't argue with critics. He outlasted them. You will too, if you can stay focused long enough to turn every insult into momentum. Belittlement isn't just a social test, it's a spiritual one. It reveals how much control you truly have over your emotions. Anyone can stay composed when praised. Only the disciplined stay composed when mocked. The Stoics saw insult as a mirror, showing the boundaries of your ego. If a few careless words can shake your peace, the work isn't outside, it's within. You must train to become unoffendable. Not indifferent, but untouchable. That's the highest discipline. To care deeply about truth and growth, but not at all about opinions. When someone insults you, ask yourself, why does this bother me? What in me still craves validation? That's the wound. Heal it, and you'll discover the same strength that kept Marcus Aurelius calm in chaos, the quiet power of complete self-command. Every insult you face is a chance to purify your ego. The Stoics believed that adversity is the classroom where character is trained, and belittlement is one of its most useful teachers. When someone tries to humiliate you, they're unknowingly helping you sharpen your awareness. You get to practice detachment, humility, and strength in real time. Think of it as resistance training for the soul. You can't grow resilience in comfort. You build it by facing friction without collapsing. The next time someone mocks or doubts you, pause and thank the moment silently. You've just been handed a free workout for your discipline. Epictetus said, "Difficulties show what men are." The insult doesn't define you. Your response does. Let it reveal your composure, your boundaries, your unshakable center. That's where transformation begins. The ancient Stoics trained every day to separate what's theirs from what's not theirs. That's the secret to peace. Someone's insult, not yours. Their envy, not yours. Their judgment, never yours. You own your effort, your focus, your integrity, nothing more. The rest belongs to them. Modern psychology calls this emotional separation. The Stoics called it freedom. The moment you stop picking up what doesn't belong to you, your mind becomes weightless. No burden of opinion, no chains of validation. The world's noise stays outside your gate while you build quietly inside it. Remember, those who constantly criticize others are escaping their own reflection. But those who master themselves no longer need to criticize anyone. When you stop taking offense, you start taking ownership. And that's when life begins to bend toward your command. You can measure your growth by how little external chaos moves you. Once, a single insult could ruin your day. Now, it barely registers. That's not numbness, that's evolution. You've rewired your emotional system to serve your purpose instead of your ego. You've become the kind of person who can walk through storms without flinching. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire under constant attack. Yet his greatest victories were internal, mastering his reactions. His focus, his peace, that's the same empire you must build. One inside yourself, unshakable, self-governed, disciplined. Belittlement will still come, but it will bounce off the fortress you've built within. That's the reward of Stoic training, not to escape conflict, but to transcend it. You stop being the victim of petty people and become the architect of your own unbreakable calm. Here's the final truth. The world doesn't get calmer. You do. Belittling comments, mockery, doubt, they'll always exist. But once you've trained your mind to respond with reason instead of reaction, you become untouchable. The Stoic warrior isn't immune to insult, he's immune to corruption. He knows that dignity is not something others can give or take, it's something you guard. So, the next time someone tries to reduce you, pause, breathe, remember who you are and what you're training for. You are not here to win arguments. You're here to win yourself. Let your calm be your retaliation. Let your progress be your proof. Let your composure be your crown. The weak speak to be heard. The strong act to be remembered. Be the latter. And when their noise fades, you'll still be standing, silent, steady, and sovereign before you leave. Take this moment to look inward. Ask yourself, where in your life have you allowed someone's words to control your emotions? Where have you traded peace for reaction? The truth is, discipline begins the moment you decide that your inner world is no longer up for negotiation. From this day forward, let every insult become training, every challenge become fuel, and every silence become strength. You have everything within you to rise above pettiness, to respond with purpose, and to build the kind of calm that no one can touch. Leave your thoughts below. Tell me which Stoic response hit you the hardest, and how you plan to apply it in your life starting today. Thanks for listening, and remember, this is Stoic psychology, where we don't chase emotions, we command them.